I interviewed Frank Galemi. Mr. Galemi volunteered as a first lieutenant pilot for World War II, the invasion of Europe. Frank Galemi went to 4 places in Texas for training camp: San Antonio, Texas for Pre-Flight Aviation Cadet Center, Hicksfield, Texas for primary training, then Waco, Texas for advanced pilot training, and Austin, Texas where he learned how to fly the plane that he was going to war with. Frank Galemi flew a C-47 plane. This plane was a dual-engine plane that could hold 18 paratroopers. It carried paratroopers and gliders. A paratrooper was an army division full of people that would jump out of planes into enemy lines. Gliders were lightweight planes that glided behind C-47 planes and would be dropped off and would glide down to enemy lines. These gliders would carry tanks, jeeps, guns, and more. Frank Galemi fought in D-Day, Operation Dragoon, the Campaign of Rhineland, and Bastogne. D-Day, or Operation Overlord, took place on June 6, 1944. The goal of this mission was to get American troops into Normandy and for these troops to head towards Berlin. This mission was led by General Eisenhower and was scheduled on June 5th, but got moved to June 6th because of the weather. The clouds and the invasion of Normandy made this mission much more difficult.
But we ran into cloud formations at this altitude, and we couldn't see where we were going. And the groups broke up, planes going in all directions, dropping all over. They dropped paratroopers all over the place. It looked like the 4th of July with all the fireworks and everything more of it when we got across the English Channel. I saw machine gun fire. This was dark at the time. I went on a second thing. I didn't go the first day of the first morning of the invasion. I went that afternoon where the sky was lit up with machine gun fire. You could see it crisscrossing in front of the airplane. I don't know how we ever got through that, but we did,
Operation Dragoon, or the invasion of southern France, was another battle that Frank Galemi was in. This battle was a success. It took place on August 15th and was on the invasion of the Mediterranean shore. The goal of this mission was to give support to the Normandy-based armies. Frank Galemi was camped on the other side of the Mediterranean and they slept in tents. He carried a glider twice the size of his plane to the battle, and he could barely get off the runway. The next place Mr. Galemi went to fight in was Rhineland. The campaign of Rhineland went from the 15th of September to the 21st of March in 1944. This mission's objective was to gain land in Europe. Frank Galemi's role in this battle was to drop down supplies to the soldiers fighting to gain land. The next place Frank Galemi was in Bastogne. This battle went from the 20th to the 27th in December at a Belgian town called Bastogne. This was in the Battle of the Bulge. The Battle of the Bulge was when Germany set an offensive attack to gain land that the Allies took. This battle was a very bloody battle and cold battle. Frank Galemi's role in this was to drop supplies to the soldiers that were nearly surrounded by the Germans. And on his way there, his left wing of his plane got a hole and it caught on fire. Luckily, he kept flying and the fire went out.
We went in and we ran over a formation of German Tiger tanks, and that's where they shot. That's when my plane was hit, and it knocked the hole. So I guess it's bigger than his desk, and the thing knocked the ailerons out. My plane caught on my fire. My buddy says, Galami, your plane's on fire. I looked out the wing, on the left wing, and I saw the fire went out. I don't know how it went out or what went. We had fabric on the wings of this aeroplane that maybe it was the fabric that was burning, and it probably distinguished itself and it'll burn itself out.
In the 20th century, there have been many wars. World War II was the most important war in the whole world, because it put an end to the spread of totalitarian states, all the dead and wounded, and how it put an end to the conflicts in Europe. World War II was an important mark of history on America and the world because it stopped the spread of totalitarian governments and stopped Hitler and Mussolini. This style of government is the direct opposite from democracy. There is a dictator and there are no rights like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of education. Whereas democracy is voted a president and the rights of speech, and they have rights of speech, religion, and education. This war was also important in American history because nearly 60 million people died in this horrific war. And lastly, it put an end to all the conflicts in Europe to this day.